We'll be back from the break. It's 29 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm Anju Barije with Joram Paul Sonko here, driving your business. And of course, very grateful from all the way where we started from 6:30 with the news recap. And now we're heading into the last minutes of the show, having quite some very interesting insights and very interesting conversations here. Now, of course, before we went to the break, in our previous discussion in relation to the cultures, the aspect of exhibitions, something very key when it comes to promoting our cultures out there, and we sell them what we have to them, and it will be made something quite very efficient, in that way. I remember some time back when in relation to what we've been saying, it's like me going to Europe and I hear them speaking my language. They act like me. I would feel like, am I still in Uganda? I won't feel like I'm in Europe. I need to have that experience. So even as we go to sell the cultures for exhibitions, we need to really take our cream, real Ugandan, okay, we used to call them wannabes back in high school. You want to sound, it is okay. People want to sound cool, it is okay, but we can Africanize being cool. Which is okay.
In Uganda is not supposed to be Africanizing. It's our generation. The generation has really changed, though. I think we also had this discussion about it, that you get to realize that now you can actually be local in high school and it's a flex. Unlike local back in the time.
Lately being, by the way,
back in the time, if you didn't know any song from the Western,
exactly,
you're the local guy. But now you can still be,
listening to the local music, and you're still a cool guy
in school, and they are looking at you as he's a cool guy. So
styled up.
That was styled up. So it's the generation has changed really, and I think it's taking a good course,
which is good.
We shall be able to at least export our identity. Because I think with the emergence of social media, we've been able to see how many other countries are breaking through. Not only looking at the American world, but we are looking at other cultures and also pushing ours to be recognized. Because the idea is if yours is also recognized, you become powerful.
Of course, you become powerful once recognized. Because even the cultures that we look up to and embrace, there was a fight by the stakeholders. I'm told of the story of Nigeria whereby some government official deliberately said from today onwards, local content 80%. It was a deliberate move and it was a fight. It might not have been easy, but sometimes, in these generations, we have this aspect of, we want free, we want to be free to do what we want, but we don't know that if we have this freedom and we abuse it, it's going to impact us in the long term. Because imagine if Luganda was also, lately you see people trying to forge Nigerian accents because it sounds cool.
Exactly.
It sounds cool, and it's some sort of a marketing strategy. So imagine somebody in Europe trying to speak Luganda. It would be something really good, but it all starts here. And like what you said, we are grateful for this generation. They really, the times we started in were really hard times. The schools we started in, trying to prove there was that thing. I remember there's an artist called Soulja Boy. Those days had released a song from the US, in Tan Maswagon. It was called Tan Maswagon back in the days. I think that was 2009. And every person, if you don't know that song, we could see people having a list of songs. Somebody comes back from holiday, and you've that first day in school, you've just reported back in the dormitory. Man, did you listen to T-Pain? T-Pain has this new track. But also Lil Wayne did this. That was the conversation. And the person that was training at the time, actually, the local person that was training in high school at the time was Mosaic Radio, the late radio.
From the Ugandan world.
From the Ugandan world. Those are the only people you could hear. And the stations we had at the moment, those vanished, were also responsible for that. That whole thing. I remember actually the coolest person was GNL Navio. Those rappers, they were the ones which people used to talk about Yeah, if you tell somebody, do you listen to local music? Yes, I do listen, but I listen to GNL and Navio. Whether they were lying to us or not.
The GNL, the Micro Rose of
the Micro Rose
were the guys who were doing at least some cool music.
Cool music. I remember there is a child that had reported back to school day one, and the parents, our parents didn't want to know about your things of styled up and all that, and they are playing CBS, and it was loud, and he opens the car, and this child feels embarrassed because
you're playing local music, listening to radio that is playing local
radio
music. I know.
I said CBS because it's what is termed as a local station and all the perspectives. But anyway, because they were anticipating people to come and you're putting on this cool radio stations playing cool music, Capitals, the Sun News, which were rocking because you feel they're styled up, but generations are changing. That even the stations we used to look up to are promoting our culture, and that is a good move, actually.
Yeah,
I guess it is a good move. Well, it's 24 minutes to the top of the hour. Yeah, you're still watching Smb Business here, and of course, as we wind this up, heading into our on-ground discussions. Heading towards the implementation of SDGs, and this time around we see the collaboration of government ministries to achieve a common goal is still a challenge, and following up on government funds, and that is for accountability, should be addressed and enforced. And SDGs is actually a move to integrate regional states. But then of course we need to note that why do government programs don't achieve the intended goals in terms of that? Of course, just a brief on SDGs. These were universal laws aspects adopted by the United Nations. That was way back in 2014 with the aim of eliminating poverty amongst the poor countries, and also with the aspect of promoting peace and prosperity in the different countries that are affected by the different calamities. Well, in this discussion we have Honorable Robina Nabbanja, that's the Prime Minister, and Honorable Amos Lugolobi, the State Minister for Finance. And yeah, let's get into this as we shall be returning to wrap this up.
Water needs energy. Now, agriculture too, because agriculture uses water, they require water. So there is an interplay between these various agencies. So one of the key concepts, therefore, that we are coining through this conversation that we have been having is the issue of collaboration and coordination. And it's on this basis that the National Development Plan was designed in a manner that's program-based. We are putting together different players under certain programs to deliver certain common goals. However, we discovered in the midterm review after 2 years that the collaboration, probably on paper is there, but physically is not there. So we are not going to be able to deliver these goals unless we focus, Mr. Moderator, a little more on the issue of collaboration. We just have to find a formula of talking to one another. There's that evil spirit that is stopping us from talking to one another. I don't know, we need Jesus to come back and cast that devil, that's stopping us, because you don't find a reason why people are not talking to one another. We have been talking about irrigation for a long time, but to get Minister of Agriculture to talk to Minister of Water, it is easier to do other hard things than to get Finance is the easiest. So I think we need to emphasize the issue of collaboration, and I'm glad is the one of follow-up. The technocrats call this monitoring. To follow up, your resources. You have borrowed money, you have sent that money to water, and you leave water to do whatever they want, and there's no follow-up. Or they even choose to do nothing. We have been assessing externally funded loan projects. And you find a number of these projects are not performing. But for lack of proper follow-up, someone is not doing his duty. Someone is only presenting to you the challenges though I faced a challenge here, but you're a leader because you can manage challenges. So this lack of proper day-to-day follow-up. So we need a system that follows up every coin that we are spending in the budget. Agency by agency, vote by vote, and that is a way to enhance accountability. It's about the issue of productivity. Over the years, our soils have lost the nutrients that they used to have. Those days, when I was still young, our soil was very productive. It had the nutrients. We would plant coffee and harvest a full sack from one tree, one branch of a coffee tree. Today, you can only get a mug. Why? Because the nutrients are completely depleted. So therefore, the productivity of our soils has drastically gone down. And unless we address this problem of productivity, we are going to come here and say that agriculture is not profitable, farming is not profitable. You know, we blame farming instead of blaming ourselves for not being able to provide the fertilizers the farmers actually need. Fertilizers is now a given. Without fertilizers, you can no longer do meaningful agriculture in Uganda. And I think we need to adopt some of these issues. Productivity.
The other cabinet recommendation was the integration of Agenda 2063 into the National Development Goals Coordination Framework, since both agendas have similar aspirations and are interlinked. The National SDG Secretariat has already conducted an assessment on the integration of the Agenda 2063 in the district development plans. The integration of the Agenda 2063 into the National SDGs Coordination Framework is aimed at aligning the country's development priorities with those of the African Union and ensuring that national development plans are consistent with a broader continental agenda. This will enable Uganda to benefit from the regional integration and cooperation and leverage resources and expertise from the African countries.
Well, how is Uganda doing at when it comes to implementing sustainable development goals? That is something quite very key. And according to a report here, only 12% of SDGs on track. That is according to the UN resident coordinator in Uganda. Now, the sustainable development goals are being implemented slowly by developing nations, including Uganda at the same time. Now, of course, 12%, like I said earlier, but we see that according to the coordinators in here, to the resident coordinator for Uganda, UN resident coordinator for Uganda, he say that only 30% of these have seen any improvement, and many nations may miss the 2030 target if sufficient advice is not provided. You know. These are her very own words when she was actually explaining. She said that the national poverty headcount has remained higher here in Uganda, with 19% recorded in 2012 to 2013. And she goes further to say that as food costs stay high in many nations, the world has returned to the levels of famine, of course, which were last experienced in 2005. This is her statement in regard to that. But now, Uganda's sustainable development objectives, we see that since early 1990s, when it became a popular development model, Uganda has actively pursued the sustainable development goals, and the three key transitional phases of this endeavor has been post-war reconstruction. That was in the period of 1977 and 1986. You know, the eradication of poverty, 1997 to 2009, and the socio-economic change, 2010, 2020. Of course, despite a few hardships we've obtained as a country, most cases when we come to in line to achieving Vision 2040, and with the different programs we've established like NDP1, NB2, NDP2, now we're at 3, which is phasing out anytime as we head to NDP3, the aspect of poverty eradication. And this is something even President Yoweri Museveni has always been advocating for, eradicating people out of poverty, and all that. Wealth creation agendas being created. We've seen quite lots of those programs being put in here. But anyway, let us see how this really comes out. And no wonder the budget financial 2023-2024 has largely focused on human capital development. Because I believe when we are developed as a country if we are rich in human capital, definitely we shall be able to curb unemployment as a country, and poverty will be eradicated. And there is no single country that has developed eliminating the human resource that they contain in there.
Well, as well, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals for Uganda here, there is zero hunger, some of the goals that were set, gender equality, that is being promoted, no poverty. I think the no poverty is being driven by the fact that we are looking at
the PDM.
The PDM.
Yeah.
Zero hunger, that is identifying food security. Good health.
Good health, yeah.
Is ideally being driven around making sure that our health facilities and...
Actually, I saw something today in the Daily Monitor, which was saying that no more, some aspect of half-baked doctors,
that we have currently as a country.
Currently in the country, they say that this time around they're going to be very strict in the intakes, following the number of patients who have been dying due to carelessness of the medical officers that were responsible for them.
And also quality education.
Quality, yeah, that is key.
These are some of the. There's also clean water and environment. These are some of the key, ideas that have been highlighted in regards to our SDGs in Uganda. That is the standard sustainable development goals, which, when you look at the development goals, which can be sustainable, I think it's ideally looking at goals that you can set and sustain them. So the SDGs in the country, of course, there are some other things that undermine this particular sustainability, but nevertheless, government focuses on making sure that at least we are in touch or in reach of those that we can take charge of. Well, I think in my take here, you could easily see that the poverty one is still an issue. Poverty eradication. Good health as well. It is becoming an issue. Reason being, it is now more costly. If you want to at least sustain good health, you need to have. It depends on the way where you live, where you stay, what you feed on, and of course the quality of health that you, in case you're sick.
Even where you access it.
Where do you access the quality treatment? The same applies to education now. If you can't afford good education, then that means you're not getting the quality education. I think these are things that the government needs to strongly look at.
Absolutely. Very, very right on that. And of course, it's 11 minutes to the top of the hour. We've come to the end of Smart Mains Business this morning on a Tuesday, 27th of June. Of course, the final week for the budget, the final budget week in here as we are preparing ourselves for the financial year, which is set to kick start off in July. Yes. Well, don't forget channel 372 rather on DSTV and channel 320 on GOTV, and on our social media handles at Smart24TV on Twitter, Smart24TV official, that's on Facebook, and Smart24TV live on YouTube. You will be able to stream us at any part of the country you'll be at. But on top of streaming, go to your Google Play Store, download the Smart Digital application, get this app on your phone, install it. You will also still be able to catch live broadcast from Smart24 TV as we deliver to you the different related updates from that. And yes, on our website also at smart24.tv for in-depth insights. You can also catch up that website for updates, for business updates and so many other aspects that are happening into the country. You go to that website and you'll be able to get that information. And I'm Andrew Barija94, that's my Twitter, and Joram Paul Sonko at Joram Paul Sonko. Exactly. You can follow Joram Paul Sonko at Joram Paul Sonko, and engage a discussion. In case there is something that you feel like we should talk about on the show in line to business, well, definitely you can hit us up on those different Twitter handles, and also you can still go to @Smart24TV on Twitter and suggest something in there. And of course, it's a very good morning from us, the entire Smart Means Business team. And of course, a great thanks to the entire team that has been behind this entire production, from the producers, and so many other stakeholders from this part. A very good morning, and have yourselves a very wonderful day. Let's link up tomorrow.
Up next on Smart 24 TV.